And we're back. Welcome back, family. You're back with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. Before we go any further, just want to remember, make sure y'all download the app in case you have an Android. Download the app, the WJHM102jams.com app, if you have an Android phone, so you can download and listen to all of our shows. And just make sure that you go ahead and do that. Sorry, Apple users, we don't have the app for y'all just yet. Complain to your subscriber. Hopefully they'll get us and let us go ahead and do that. So, but anyway, we are back here with Pastor Jerry Q. Parries, who is the author of The Making of a Blended Family, as well as the pastor of Christian Family Worship Center here in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Thank you again, sir, again. So
Thank you.
We want to start off with the second part here with choose a partner wisely. How do we choose a partner wisely?
Wow, that's a great. In fact, that's probably one of my favorite chapters in the book, is how to choose a partner to blend your family with, or how to find the right partner to marry. One of the things you can do is that I talk about in the first chapter in choosing a partner, is that you can pay attention, take a listen or look with your eyes open. For an example, if you go out to dinner with somebody and you're dating them, you want to see how they respond to the waitress. You want to see how they tip, or you want to see. You just want to pay attention. People show you who they are by showing you how they treat others, not how they treat you.
Right.
And if you can look at how they treat the waitress, how they treat the valet person, when somebody called on the cell phone in the car, just watch and see how they answer the phone. They answer the phone, and then when they finish, they throw the phone down and say something negative.
Right.
That's the kind of person that you're marrying. If they respect their mother, look how they respect their mother. For men, if you find a man that really loves his mother and respects his mother, that's an indication. That's not a 100% proof.
Right.
But if he's nasty and dogs out his own mother, then the likelihood he's going to respect you is not going to happen. And last but not least, if someone has children, and they're not, if a man has children and he's not taking care of the children that he have right now, what make you think he's going to take care of the child that he has with you? So you can look at things that are around. Or if a woman have her kids over her mother's house, and you go pick her up, and every time you turn around, the kids are at my mother's house, then that says something about the kind of person that you're getting ready to marry. So you got to pay attention to the surroundings around you about a person, and not pay attention to how they treat you, but look at how they treat others, and how they treat others tell you the kind of person that you have.
I have heard that saying before, and specifically speaking, I happen to be watching the video. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Dr. Boyce Watkins?
I'm not.
Okay. I follow Dr. Boyce Watkins on YouTube and Facebook and things of that nature, and he preaches a lot about, not necessarily preaches, but he has a lot with financial literacy and doing some other social topics and things of that nature. But he happened to talk about, he had a video that's on YouTube right now. It's about 27 minutes long, and it's in regards for women women choosing the men that they date, you know what I'm saying, in terms of women basically make bad choices in men. That's why they end up with the men that they're with. Now, you have to watch the video. Don't take my word wholeheartedly specifically.
Yeah.
He's not down to all women. But he did bring up a couple of examples where there was a few, one guy that he was friends with was from a single-parent household. His father wasn't around, but his mother was a nurturer, but wasn't necessarily a disciplinarian. So whenever he did things that were wrong, she would end up nurturing him instead of scolding him when he needed to be scolded, and when the father figure wasn't around.
Right.
So I know that's and in turn, what he ended up doing, like let's say, like he brought him an example, maybe his friend he just dropped cookies all over the floor, didn't clean them up after himself or what have you, and his mother was just like, oh, that's okay or what have you, but. He would end up, hey, Mom, we're out of cookies, instead of, screaming at her like we're all out of cookies and things of that nature. And he ended up treating the women that he was with the same way.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. What can we do? Is there anything that we can do, or, in regards to helping a person like that, or should we just steer away clearly? Because I know some people have that I can save somebody syndrome.
I'm not in helping. I'm not in the helping mode of finding a mate. When women marry men thinking that they can change them, men marry women thinking that they'll never change, and both of them are absolutely wrong. If you have to fix somebody to marry you, and when I get married to him, I'm gonna dress him up. Now, he's good, but he don't know how to dress, so I'm gonna dress him up. I'm gonna do this, and then men, a woman is always, when you first meet them, they throwing you the best parties, best love, and you get married, and all of that, all of a sudden, I thought you would never change. No, people change and people stay the same. They are who they are. And and Maya Angelou say, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Yep. And we have a tendency to when we're in love and we got our eyes on and we want something, we have a tendency to miss all the red flags. It's not that the red flags are not there. Mm-hmm. You have a tendency to say, don't pay attention to them. And you got to pay attention because people will show you who they are. You walk in a woman's house and go hang out with somebody, and you walk in the house and come by a surprise, and the house is not neat, then you're marrying somebody who don't clean house. You know, and you can't expect that to change. Or you get a guy that every time you turn around, he's looking for a job and don't have a job. You marry somebody that don't work. And you gotta. That when I get married to him, I'm gonna make sure he gets a job. If he ain't got a job when you marry him, then you gotta wait till he get a job. Wait till he becomes the man that you want him to be, and not marry somebody who you trying to make him into something that he's not.
Well, and now I've often questioned. This is one of the questions I've always wondered, especially when you have, let's take Mama for instance. Mm-hmm. Great mother, of course. Wonderful woman, and I know, raising boys such as Ryan and Jason and Justin or what have you, she, helped to mold them and shape them in the way that they should be as responsible adults. Mm-hmm. But then, when and I'm not saying this actually happened to them, I'm just using them as an example.
Okay.
What happens is, sometimes, you have a man that had a great mother that molded them correctly to respect women, to, talk like this, act like this, or what have you, and then they run into that one woman that they want. But it's like the woman that they wants to mold them or take them like a piece of clay, and then mold them to the way that they want. Can that be a bit of an issue? Because, even if they are good men in that regard?
Well, it happens in all of our lives that one of the things that it's not how you raise a child. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's how that child interpret that which you've raised them.
Right.
And so you can raise a child to do the right thing, but if their interpretation of that is different than what you've raised them, they could turn out to be totally different than, all of my children do things differently than I would do in some cases. They say, well, where did you guys learn that from? You've never seen me do that. You never see me. But people have a tendency to not only pick up things from you, but they pick up things from their biological parents, and they pick up things from their surroundings and social life. So I think I'm answering your question that you can have somebody that date your daughter and end up seeing your daughter accept things that you would have never accepted, and wonder how in the world are you living like this? And it is because for somewhere down the road, she believed that she wasn't worthy of that which you've taught her.
Gotcha.
And it can happen to anybody. That's life.
Okay. And I want to move on to understanding family dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk more about that? And I know in terms of family dynamics, I know there's issues sometimes with communication and especially especially when it comes to like holidays. Mm-hmm. I know I've had that issue myself. Learning where I'm going to spend holidays, or learning where the kids are going to spend holidays, things of that nature. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, the dynamics is what I talked about at the very beginning, is that when you come into a relationship and a person has children, the dynamics is, let's say, for instance, you meet a woman and she has 2 kids by 2 different men, okay? Now, when you look at the dynamics of that, you have to look at not only do I have to deal with her, but now I have to deal with the father of these children, because when you marry that person, you're not just marrying them, you're marrying everything that's attached to them. So not only are you marrying, you have to deal with the fathers that are connected to the child. You now have to deal with the grandmothers that are connected to the father.
Right.
You have to deal with the aunties that is connected to each child. So those are the dynamics. And same thing with the husband if he has children. You know, a man may have 4 different children by 4 different women. You got to deal with all of those dynamics and all of those. So before you get involved with the person, you need to have conversation about who are you, where you been, who you been with, in the sense of how many children you have. Are there mothers involved? Are there fathers involved? Are there grandmothers involved? Right. Because sometime at the end of the day, during Christmas time, they may take their grandchild and leave the other 2 children at the house, you know. And so that one grandson comes home with 20 gifts, and the children at home, because you can't afford it, may only have 2 gifts.
Right.
So now you got a child here that got 20 gifts, waving it in front of the kids that only have 2. You know, it gets crazy. It's the dynamics of that. So I talk about in the book understanding the dynamics and how to walk through that, knowing that a girl is a daddy. All girls are mostly daddy girls, and all boys are mama boys. So when you run into that situation, you got to look at the dynamics and know how to navigate through that.
Okay. So specifically speaking in regards to like holidays, how did you navigate? Okay, this is what we're doing with the children, and and also adding like their biological parents and getting them involved to make sure everything was okay because that's what they were used to.
Wow, that's a good question. And when I first met my wife Eunice, her children's father, biological dad, was very, very involved in their lives. So every Christmas morning, he would come over to open up gifts with his children. And when he came over to open up gifts with his children, I would give them space for them to do that. This is me. I know when I say this, people, what? Yeah. No, I gave him space. I went into the other room because he had bought his children's gift. This was a tradition for his children. And I felt that his children should not have been punished because their mom and dad got a divorce, that they would lose out on having that time with their father on Christmas morning.
Right.
So they opened their gifts during Christmas morning. My children, when we all lived together, after a while we just all start opening up gifts together, and he was there, I was there, but their dad was always welcome at that time to be a part of that. So what I did is I made room for my children's father at our table because he was important for their life.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to make sure that they did not miss out on that because of the mistake their mother and their father made. That was my decision,
right.
And it worked well for our family.
Okay.
Yeah, worked well for our family. To the point that anybody that's heard me talk, that my wife's ex-husband, when he comes to Orlando, lives in Florida, used to, when his kids was there, could stay at our house because I wanted his kids to always have their father in their lives, and I did not want. And my ex-wife could come and stay at our house at the same time. My wife, we understood the power to make sure that our children did not miss out because of our mistakes. That's maturity. That doesn't happen for everybody.
Right.
But everybody should press to make sure that they do not cause their children to miss out on their biological parents, grandmother, because the children are not at fault. You have to be, mature enough to handle that.
Now, and I'm glad you said that because I know not a lot of people are mature enough to handle that particular part of it. So what do you think you could tell somebody who has that specific dynamic, and they're not sure, if they can let the ex-mate of their current person stay over?
Well, again, that's not for everybody.
Right.
Just so happened that my wife's my children's dad was mature. He didn't come in, he respected my home and and all of the things that come along with that. The thing that I will share is to remember that your children did not deserve to lose their father or to lose their mother.
Right.
And it is your responsibility to do everything that you can to make sure that they do not lose out on that relationship. And so if you have to eat crow and you got to, you know, suck it up, then, and we've done that many days, do what you got to do to make it happen.
All right, and we'll be right back on WJHM102jams.com.
You rushed that tail, didn't you?
I sure did.
Saw me waving. Let's see.
HM102jams.com.
Get the book. It'll help you.
HM102jams.com.
Family. Then, and we've done that. If you have to
Family,
eat
we on
crow,
break
you
right
got
now,
to,
but if you can,
you
go
know,
ahead and get this
suck it up.
particular book. It is a
And we've
blessing.
done that many
For those of
days.
y'all
Do what
that
you got to
are
do to
watching
make it
right
happen.
now. All right, and we'll be right back on WJHM102jams.com. Pastor Jerry Q. Parry's
This is Aretha Simons. When I'm driving.
of Christian Family Worship.
Hey, guys,
Center.
this is
Definitely pick
TC1.
this up, when you get a chance.
Yes.
Oak Ridge Gun
It's
Range.
helping you. You know, leave a comment. Leave some comments.
.com.
You agree or
The
disagree. I
Tribune
like to
Show.
hear what you have to say concerning it. You know, chime
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again. And
Where can we, I'm gonna ask you when we get back online. Where can they get this? Is it just on the church website or?
in. No, you get it at Zulon Press.
Okay.
you can reach them at 407-898-0373.
But I'm more blessed if you get it at Zulon Press than Amazon.
Zulon Press, y'all. That's it right there. Zulon Press.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for those of y'all, all of y'all who are watching still, Amazon charges you a pretty substantial fee
Yeah.
for self-publishing on Amazon.
Yes.
.com. I happen to know that because I have a friend of mine who published her book of poetry on there, and they took like I think $7 out of the $10. Or what have you. So yeah, they took a pretty penny.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, you can always Facebook me and inbox me, and I can do it directly. Excellent.
Okay, you've got 12 minutes on your Lex. This is the last segment where you ask your questions, get it to a close. When you get it to a close, you have a 3-minute close out subject.
Mm-hmm.
And in other words, you have your 12 minutes now, and you've got 3 minutes left to close out the subject, and then close out show 1 minute social media,
Right.
and then close out. Do we have enough content for a second show?
Yeah.
Looks like we do.
Yeah.
You know what? He's going a mile a minute. It's good stuff. It's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
He really knows his stuff, and he's not afraid of this.
Yeah, he's got a whole 15 chapters. In
Yeah, we've only on the 3rd chapter.
Ladies, have it again.
Good book.
Good. Good.
It'll help you. It'll help your family. Help your friends. Christmas is over, but still send them a copy. It'll bless them. You know, somebody who needs help in their marriage, this book will help them to do that.
Yep. And you still have birthdays coming up. So somebody
Yes.
needs birthdays. You have anniversaries coming up, and you have Mother's Day, Father's Day coming up. Definitely go get this book. Or if you just have a marriage that's in trouble, definitely get this book.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
for those of y'all that already have children, want to get married, get this book so that you know what you're getting into and know how to navigate ahead of time.
Amen.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There are two separate issues which most see as the same.
Absolutely.
I think you mentioned that in the book, too. didn't
A
you?
little bit.
Okay. I knew I read it in there somewhere.
No, absolutely. That's my second book on it. Culture. Yeah, 'cause that's a whole nother.
Oh, I've learned a lot about it.
Yeah.
Are you ready, sir?
We are ready.
Last segment for the first hour.
And since you're gonna, when you close out, don't close out the whole subject. Just say we're gonna come back on Thursday.
Right.
And continue with our fantastic one.
Right.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back again, family. Again, you are listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM 102 Jams. Again, we are back with our guest, our special guest in the building, of course, the author of The Making of a Blended Family and pastor of Christian Family Worship Center, Mr. Jerry Q. Perrys. Welcome back again.
Thank you. Glad to be here, man.
Okay, and again, we've been talking about blended families and, of course, the making of a blended family for those of y'all that are dealing with marrying somebody that already has children and things of that nature. We've talked quite a lot. One thing that really caught me off, not really caught me off guard, I shouldn't say that, but one chapter that really caught my attention was Cinderella syndrome. Can you explain what Cinderella syndrome is?
Yeah, Cinderella syndrome is a story about Cinderella. Cinderella is the stepchild, and sometimes in a blended family, we can make the stepchildren we don't call them stepchildren, by the way, in blended families.
Right.
We call them bonus kids, a bonus child. A stepchild has to me, a negative connotation. So I use the word my bonus son. So when someone says, well, who is this? And I'm introducing them, I would say, first of all, I say it's my child. I don't even use bonus. That is my child. And then in the event that I have to clarify it, I'm at the Social Security office or whatever, then I say, this is my bonus child. This is my bonus child. But in the Cinderella syndrome, when you don't have your own biological children, you have a tendency to be harder on your bonus children than you are on your biological children.
Right.
You let your biological children go to bed without washing the dishes, but you make the Cinderella child scrub the floor, clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, and then they begin to have a resentment for you, the bonus parent, because they can tell that you have a difference in the way that you treat me versus you treat your own biological child.
Right.
Problem in our blended family growing up, and those residual moments have a tendency to flood over into adulthood. And again, a lot of times it is not how you treat the child, it's the perception of how the child feels you treat them. Gotcha. And you can do something and be fair across the board, but if their perception is that you have not been fair, then it comes back that becomes damaging for them. So you got to make sure, and one of the ways that I talk about in the Cinderella syndrome, one of the ways to make sure that you don't have this problem is to put up a schedule in the kitchen to say, on Monday, John does the dishes. On Tuesday, Ray does the dishes. On Wednesday, Sarah does the dishes. And when people could see in writing that it is even across the board, that takes away the perception that I'm being mistreated and they're getting away with this and I'm not getting away with that.
Oh, I like that. How difficult was that in your particular household, getting them to understand that, or was it not that difficult at all?
Oh, very difficult. Very challenging. When you have children from different parents, it is a dynamic that's automatically there. Biological children go to their biological parent to plead their case. One of the things that we did to help our children is that we would try, after later, that if my bonus daughter wanted something and her mother said no, I would go back and talk to her mother and allow me to come out and give her what she wants, so that it would make her know that I was an advocate for her.
Gotcha. Instead
of me being the person that said no, because when your bonus children come to you and it's 10 o'clock at night, hey, can I have a fruit snack? No, go to bed. Go to bed. You can't have one. But then your biological son come and say, hey, Mom, I want a fruit snack. Well, hey, you can have one. And when your bonus child see you do that, you got problems. And so we had to try to figure out a way to make sure that we made it even across the board.
Okay, was that something that you had to literally sit them down and talk with them or was that something that you just had to just take practice in order to get them to see that?
We had to do both. We had to talk. We had to sit them down. We had to share. We had to do it we just kept doing it over and over again. And again, like I said, some of that even passes over for some of them even today.
Okay. Now, in regards, in regards to that, I know you talked about in the book in terms of joining the family together, and I remember there was a specific situation. How do you deal with those family members who bring repeated people or people that they dated into the family, and making sure that that dynamic works as well. If you know what I'm saying, like maybe if one marriage didn't work, then they brought in the next wife.
Right.
That type of thing. Is that
right? Yeah, I talked about that sometime, and this is for the spouse, or if I bring my wife around my family.
Mm-hmm.
If I bring my wife around my family, and I've had 4 other girlfriends prior to bringing my wife around my family, then my family may not receive my wife very well, because they would see her as just another person I'm bringing around, and she'll be gone in the next few minutes.
Right.
And so some families or some women, my wife would be offended that my family did not receive her, but it has nothing to do with my wife. It has everything to do with my choices. And so they, in return, feel the negativity of the choices that I made.
right?
And so I encourage women not to, when those things happen, don't take it personally. It's not against you. It's really about the mate who you are with, that the discussion or the thing is about.
Is it also an aspect sometimes, because I know a lot of times with in-laws, sometimes the biological family can have a favorite, so to speak. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So yeah.
Yeah. Well. That. Yeah. Because when you bring somebody into my home,
Mm-hmm.
and I gain a relationship with them,
Right.
when you mess up with them, doesn't mean that I still don't have a relationship with them.
Right.
And then sometimes they want you to cut the relationship because they cut the relationship. Then they bring a new person in and expect you to forsake the person that you've gained a relationship with, and with the child. And it's welcome to the blended family.
I know that's tough for a lot of people, but I know you said you talked about that in the book
Yes.
a little bit. It's kind of hard to deal with things where the family has already gotten used to those particular that particular family member, and they love that particular. I know my family is the same way.
Absolutely.
Where we got used to, not just used to them, but we actually loved on the family member, the in-law, what have you, and. In a lot of cases, my family is like that. The biological family member died, but that in-law family member stayed family till death did they part as well.
Yes.
And I know that can sometimes play a family dynamic also. Were there any cases, or how? Not well, if you can give an example, if you have one on your end, but specifically, how can you? What about the issue where the child or the children try to play one parent against the other? You know what I'm saying? Especially whether it be the bonus parent and and one of the biological parents in that regard, or either it could be the case where they live with the biological parent and the bonus parent, and they still try to play one parent against the other.
Well, but see that playing one parent against another happens in traditional families. If a child goes to whoever they can get what they want, they're not necessarily playing. Children do not, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
do not think that intricate. What they think about is what they want, and they find the person who can give them what they want. And in the process of that, if that's going to the father or going to the mother, they go to get what they want. And so what ends up happening in a blended family, you have a husband and a wife, bonus dad, bonus mom, and end up that the children is just going to the person who's favored them to give them what they want. And sometimes that, if I ask my bonus dad for something, he says no, then I go to my biological mother. She said yes. I'm not disrespecting my bonus father I am, but that's not my intention.
Right.
My intention is to get what I want.
Right.
And it just so happened to be disrespectful. But I am not thinking the whole disrespectful piece. I am thinking about I want this for what I want.
Gotcha.
You know.
Okay. Now, and I definitely wanted to talk this next subject. That next subject I thought about, and I hear this sometimes, but when it comes to blended families, who should do the discipline or the physical? Well, specifically the physical disciplining, and what kind of discipline can the bonus parent do, if any at all?
Wow, this is a topic that I really wanted to spend quite a bit of time on. Who should do the discipline is a major piece. I like to do this if you don't mind. I think we're coming back next week.
Yeah.
I like to hold that to
Absolutely.
to next week. I think you should tune in to hear who should do the discipline, because if you get this wrong, this can really destroy your family. And so I really want you to really listen to what I have to share in that matter.
Okay. And all right, yeah, definitely. We wanted to make sure that we did bring that up, because I know that's been an issue for quite a few parents and whatnot in that regard. Because you never know. I know that's a hard issue. I understand some people talk about, yeah, they would let the bonus parent, do the physical disciplining. But again, it's a hard subject, to want to, talk about for some people. So what we will do, we will definitely talk about that on Thursday's show as well. In the meantime, what we are going to do, we're still going to continue with a little bit on and come back with a not just the climax, but somewhat a little wrap up or what have you in terms of the interview for today's show. So definitely you want to definitely stay tuned to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea. And remember, please download the app on your Android. All right, download that app on your Android. Again, WJHM102jams.com for all you Android users. All right, we'll be right back in just a second on WJHM102jams.com.
You're getting closer.
Oh, try. Hey.
Getting closer.
Do we have a plug for